So we are recording this.
You're good to go.
Can you see me?
I can see you back there,
Time
yep.
limits, right here.
Don't go past the whiteboard and
Okay.
don't go past your screen.
Okay, good. You guys ready? Last 30 minutes. All right, just to,
One last thing, sorry. Do you care if we turn the lights down?
can we turn the lights just a little bit down?
Our choice is either this or pretty much off.
Let's turn it off a little bit because it's really not important to see me. Some of the stuff on the screen is going to sell a little bit more of the magic of what I'm talking about. As long, I want to make sure that we record this and you guys can go back and.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you stay within that side of the board, I can
Okay.
zoom in and you'll be even better.
Okay.
So
I'll stay right here
yeah, here, let me just do this real fast.
and then here.
We're adjusting. We're adjusting. I'm gonna.
I told him to put it right there. from the
Yeah,
very
we'll
beginning.
shift there.
I did.
You suggested it, but you wanted to stand over there. Oh yeah, that's much better.
Much better. Okay, so
See, if I listen to you, things might. Oh wow,
is that clean? Much
it's clean. You're kind of a moving shadow, but it's good enough.
It's okay. Nobody
You can
really cares
edit.
to look at me. Photoshop.
Actually, that's just enough. Leave that there because this blocks the
We good? We good
reflection.
here?
You're good. Let's go.
Okay.
We'll fix it in
So,
editing.
I don't really want to focus on this. You probably got to see a little bit about this. I used to work for Autodesk, worked in the major accounts program. Before that, I've done a lot of stuff in EPC, engineering companies, big engineering companies, driving change. I've been doing BIM since about 2004 after Autodesk bought Revit. But before that, I was not new to intelligent modeling. Had my own design build firm. We would design and build high-end custom homes that would be all pre-manufactured out of panels. Like we would pre-manufacture it. And so I got kind of into the BIM world, trying to design, estimate, fabricate, and project manage everything, the use cases that people are still trying to do today with BIM. And so, I don't know, what else? I mean, you guys can look at that later, it's not really the meat of everything. But really, the topic that I want you to focus on kind of the red things that are up here on the screen. It's this real course is about a 6-week course that I'm going to be doing. Okay, all the other stuff that isn't, drawing on a drawing. Does that make sense? And it is completely relevant to driving technology innovation. The other thing is like understanding what the tools do versus what they did before. For years, we've been using CAD, and a lot of the CAD that is out there is baked into the DNA of our work processes. And some of it is not valid. We're doing things today in Revit that are completely useless as part of the project delivery process. But we're still doing it, right? I mean, some of you guys have been using Revit for a while, and I see you're shaking your heads, right? You see that those challenges that are happening is like, how do we enable something better with the tools we have today, okay? And really I kind of bait this when I teach this class at Autodesk University. It's like, take this class and you guys will learn how to make yourself more money, right? I know BIM managers that are BIM managers, but they're still making the same amount of money. My goal is to make you guys more money. Okay, I've done it. I've created results with other organizations, and when you create results and you can tie your results back to and deliver tangible business benefits, you can actually get more money. Okay. The problem a lot of people have is there was a lot of BIM wash in the early years of BIM. People attached BIM to their name. They got really, really cool reviews. They got jobs, and they're not delivering results. Okay, that BIM wash has really kind of created a problem in the industry. So this is really how do we actually drive results with the technology? Make sense? So you guys probably saw the learning objectives. I'm not going to hit really too hard on that, but facilitation techniques. We're going to talk about some of the techniques. I'm not going to get in there at how you facilitate. Okay, facilitation is an art in itself. And there's things that you do in facilitation that will help you manage a meeting really well and deliver, or sell, is another good word, your message to the intended recipients, okay? We're going to talk about some techniques on how to prioritize, for long-term success, right? How many of you guys have heard, see every March Autodesk releases a new technology or tool and everybody gets excited about it, right? I myself, I like look at the list, I'm like, dang, finally, right? But some of the stuff is a giant distraction because it's really not delivering a new or innovative result, right? It's just, that's continual innovation, I need to do that. And some of it, it's not even ready for mainstream, right? It may break your work processes, right? So, do I just implement it? I'm asking that question rhetorically because I have a process for doing that. And then kind of the fundamentals of charting a technology initiative, right? So those are the three things we're going to cover. Two things, change management. How many of you guys have done anything with change management? Organizational change management. One? Anybody else? Change management is the fundamental of being a BIM manager. And I didn't know that when I was first a BIM manager, and I've learned it and have driven, as part of my success is learning change management. The other piece is a framework that Autodesk actually invented called Visual Strategy Workshops. It's something that they teach all of their customer success managers and business consultants, okay? So that was something that I learned. What we won't be covering is the Innovation Genome Project. How many of you guys have heard of that? In my AU class from a couple of years ago, I touched lightly on Innovation Genome, and I've actually built some of the slide deck from that Innovation Genome. So some of it has get a little bit reminiscent. If you want to watch that one that's on AU, I've got a link here. You can download that stuff. And as long as you have an Autodesk account, you can log in and download it. It's a pretty good presentation. I've got two other Autodeskers with me.
Yourself.
Hey, it was highly rated, okay? And then the growth tools. There's a couple of classes you can take from industry professionals, like on facilitation. Effective Facilitator is one of the classes that you can do. I don't have it. So visual strategies or leadership strategies. I'll put that on. I'll update the slide and put that on there too. So there's some other companies that do facilitation training. I highly recommend it. I can't get into that into my courses just because it's it's something that is immersive. They've got a proven methodology for facilitating. Okay, so let's real quick. Planning and initiative. Two things you need to know. What are the big rocks, and what needs to be changed? Okay, how many have heard that, the big rocks? How many have heard of Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Okay, one of the things he talks about is the big rocks. If we put the big rocks in, all the rest of our time is not focused on these little things that don't really matter. Okay, they'll get done. Those little things usually get done. We want to spend most of our energy, our emotional energy, our physical energy doing the things that are big rocks, okay? So, first thing I'm going to ask everybody is, what is their BIM reality? I'm not looking for an answer, but what is your BIM reality, okay? This is my BIM reality, okay? 10% of BIM is technology. How many of you guys believe that? No? Not buy into it?
No, because they push 100%.
Okay, so those three things, right? This is what BIM. This is what we were sold, right? Okay? In reality, BIM is this. Okay? I got sold in 2006, BIM. 2008, BIM. You gotta be doing BIM, we're gonna BIM everything, right? And reality is it was, if we just focus on a tool, we become just a tool, essentially, okay? I need to be able to ask a couple of questions to really drive change in an organization, okay? Can a project manager confirm that this is true? If a project manager isn't using Revit or can't tell you how it has improved your organization, you're not using BIM, you're just using Revit. using a BIM-enabled process, okay? You know what the metrics are. Can you go in and say, I reduced this much effort in my organization by doing X, Y, and Z, okay? If not, what you did is you replaced CAD and you replaced it with BIM. You're doing CAD with a different tool, which is what a lot of organizations, I mean, hooray, you do that, that's actually a victory. In my book, that's a victory, okay? But it isn't really driving the change that's gonna get you promoted, okay? It really isn't. And then what is your BIM vision, right?
Good question.
What are you delivering? What's differentiating you and your organization from everybody else there that's selling the same thing? We're a BIM organization. I got BIM manager, I got 5 BIM specialists. We got everybody's using Revit. So what? Okay? So really what it comes down to, what is it that we're trying to solve? Okay? And I kind of threw up there some of my formula for success. You gotta identify a problem you can solve, create a world-class team. Those are things that I like to do. Defining what success looks like. Before I go in and do something, I want to know, I want to outline what does success look like. And I have to have a vision of what that looks like. Otherwise, it's kind of the tail leading or wagging the dog instead of the dog wagging the tail, right? Am I getting executive sponsorship? Okay, can I go to an executive and say, hey, I want to do this, and them trust me enough to put down money on an initiative I'm going to do? Okay, I do that time and time again because I built a reputation for doing success or delivering success. Okay, implementing it on a project. You know, most of us have done in Revit. We've done it on a project, right? What else are we doing on a project? What initiatives are we doing? Are we doing analysis? Are we doing energy analysis using the technology? Have we changed that process? Okay? And then what new innovations are we doing that are you're leveraging the tool to do that? And then have we implemented it throughout the entire organization? Are we still using CAD? Okay? Those are 3 things those are the things that I kind of think about. And when I started thinking about that, and I actually worked with a organizational effectiveness leader at Black & Beach Engineering when I worked there. Essentially, it's a person that's a specialist in change management. Okay? And that's why I brought it in there, is these are things that we do to increase or to do change management, right? We increase urgency, we build a guiding coalition, all of these things, okay? I'm not gonna go through them because we're gonna go through them slide by slide, okay? So there's 3 things that we're essentially doing with change management. We're creating a climate for change. We're getting people excited, we're building a team that's going to support it, not just a small team, just me in my little corner saying, hey, we're gonna do BIM, or we're gonna do this, or we're gonna do that. I'm actually building a team from multiple parts of the organization, okay? Creating that climate for change, okay? The other part is, okay, now that we've got the team, how do we empower, engage, and enable the entire organization? How do I take it from this and make it like this, right? And then after that, how do we implement and sustain that, right? A lot of organizations take pride. I've got a BIM team. I've got a group of people that can do it. I've got 1 or 2 of those teams. Do they have the whole organization? Now I'm looking at it because I have to work. I've had to work with big organizations. You know, anything from like 10,000 professionals to 25,000 professionals. Okay, and I'm working in all different parts of the organization, so I have to make an impact like that. Okay, so I'm looking for the big rocks, strategic initiatives. $10 million sometimes is my projects that I'm implementing. You may have something smaller or somewhere in between. Okay, doesn't matter. An initiative is an initiative. You start with something small and you execute and you do well. Guess what? And you can show the tangible results. Company's going to come back and say, hey, I got a project that I want you to work on. We need to solve this. And it has nothing to do with training or Revit. It's using that tools to think innovatively. That make sense? Yeah? No? Did I lose you? Okay, so we're going to navigate kind of through a couple of the key kind of things that I do when doing that. Like, I have to have a problem statement. That sounds silly, but what am I trying to solve, right? And this is important because as you start to present to executives and other leaders, they're going to look through and say, if you have these things, you're going to hit like their business mindset, right? Because not all people speak technology or speak geek stuff, right? You guys in this room speak the language of CAD and BIM and all that, right? But other people in the organization don't. So you have to kind of speak to a business mindset. If you want a CFO to sign a paycheck for the types of initiatives that I do, you got to speak in this language, right? We need model-based workflows. We're doing more projects this year, right? We need BIM to present models and create drawings in a new way. I mean, I kind of dumbed it down, but you get the point. How much more impactful? In 2014, we developed 120 subdivision phases. Each phase must be redrawn separately, taking 40 hours of rework with our current 2D drawing methods, right? This year, we anticipate 240 phases. If we do not adopt model-based workflows, we will potentially lose $560,000 in profitability due to rework. That's actually one of my clients' things. It was something about going to InfraWorks, right? But if I go in and I say, hey, guess what? We got this new tool, it's called InfraWorks. Somebody's ears is going to turn off, right? Because it's not going to appeal to their mindset, right? And so what this does by having an effective problem statement, we're able to appeal to the mindset for business leaders. Okay? The next thing is about building a guiding coalition, right? In Black and Beach Engineering, we called it the BIM team. But we also had other people that were part of that, okay? Okay, so some of those people have credibility, okay, especially when you're doing technology. We don't always have the credibility, so we grab somebody, maybe a sponsor, somebody to protect our little thing that we're trying to do, right? This idea of innovation. You ever had an idea of innovation and get shut down? Bring the hammer, right? Many times you're doing something that's going to cause some change, you're going to have people that are going to disrupt you. They're going to be like, no, my job's going to go away if we do this. And that's the truth. If you're doing something that's impactful, that's innovative, many times it's going to somebody's going to have to change and they don't like it, right? So having a guiding coalition helps you to do a couple of things, influence managers. You get leaders that have strong business acumen. You bring those process owners in, right? The things that I like to do, really, like multidiscipline offices like you guys, right? I throw things over the wall. I need to have an effective way of processing that, right? I need to re-architect a new process. I need the people that know that process inside and out. They may be part of my team temporarily just to influence what things are going to be. They may not manage the day-to-day of that initiative, but they're going to, influence some of the changes we're going to do. Because anything innovative is going to cause disruption. How many of you guys have heard that BIM is a disruptive technology? Right? If you're not disrupting, okay, you're not innovating. Okay? What I'm helping you do here is manage that disruption. Okay? Let's see. So here's some of the characters. You've got power sponsors. Those are the people that have money, right? You've got sponsors, department heads, PMs. Sometimes it's your project management office. With the organizations I've worked with, we've developed a supplement to the project management office. We call it the BIM management office. Okay, that's where our initiatives are managed. And then agents, people that are going to be out there working for you. So it could like this, it could look like this, it could look like that one on the right. How many of you guys work in a matrix organization? All over the board, right? All powers different, many different places, right? So but the most important thing is to actually manage it through multiple levels of the organization. And when you build that guiding coalition, there's some lessons learned. Now, This is from one of my slides at BIM Forum. Alice looking down the rabbit hole, right? If you don't kind of learn the lessons learned that I got here, like not having a charter for your initiative, how many goes into what a charter is? A couple of you, project management methodology, right? Charter and initiative. Essentially, it's a document that says, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. This is who's sponsoring it. It's where your authority comes from. Do you have a line item on your billing code to authorize somebody to work on your initiative? Right? I'm not working on billable time. I'm working on something else. Do you have power to authorize agents to work on your project? Okay? Risk adverse culture. Some cultures don't like risk. This is a good way to manage that risk. Okay? My head's on the chopping block. You better give me time to work on it. I will manage that time. I will manage who works on it. You got to make sure people aren't billing to your project too, because innovation is a project. And then rogue agents. My favorite's the rogue agents, right? The ones that are doing the same thing, but not contributing to your team. Okay? There's always rogue agents in your groups. No matter what you're doing, there's going to be rogue agents. Okay, so the big thing, the next step is defining a change vision. What is it going to look like? How is it, how about we do this? Let's take a quick pause so you guys can grab pizza. Can we do that?
Yes.
That way you guys are not smelling it like I am and being tortured. So let's take 5 minutes, grab your pizza, and then I'll kick it back up. Norman, you want to take a pause on that?
Yeah, I'll just. Right, Mike. Make sure everybody's awake.
And this is part of meeting management, right? Somebody brings in food, you can drag it out as long as you want, but if you don't feed them, they're gone.
See, at least we didn't feed them first, because now we know they were awake at least this long anticipating the pizza.
That's right. And Larry locked the door in the back. I'm just kidding.
It's a school building, it's an egress door.
Is it? I'm looking
It
for the
only
second
locks,
egress.
locks you out, not locks you in.
We'll get on the video?
Go.
Okay. Sorry for the break. I thought that you guys would be more responded to full bellies. At least I know that I do. Except when they're here at Autodesk University and they feed you at buffet. It's like comatose 1 o'clock meeting. I do not want to be the one teaching that class. I'm like, everybody, here's a Zip Fizz, here's a Red Bull. Everybody's is in a food coma, so hopefully you didn't eat too much. Okay, so defining a change vision. This part we're going to get into a lot more of the meat, because there's a lot of different ways of defining a change vision. And hopefully you walk away with today just at least some ideas, 2 or 3 good nuggets of things you could do. There's a ton of things you could do that I'm going to show to you guys, but there's a few key things that I think that you'll like. But really it's around, if I have a vision, I've got the right people behind me, I can have a charter that's pretty much says this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, these are the people, these are the goals and objectives, and these are the milestones. And you can actually, it's a project, it's actually a technology initiative, is a project. And me, I went back to school a few years ago to get my construction management and project management degree. And best thing that I ever did, because that's really helped me to have effective project management methodologies that drive change. And part of this just kind of fits in there, right, is I went from BIM manager to project manager of managing major initiatives. I showed success in one little small thing, move up, move up, move up, okay? So there is an evolution to technology degrees or technology management if you are able to prove success, okay? And so I'm kind of this firm believer in you teach a bunch of folks in the industry, all boats rise, okay? If I can prove and help you guys have success, guess what? That just means that job positions like a BIM manager, technology director, things like that will be created. Because a few years ago, there was no such thing as a BIM manager, design technology manager, those types of things. They are created now, but they're not necessarily evaluated at what their value. They're not paid in what a project manager pays. However, they deliver results far beyond what a project manager and some project management offices do. Okay? And I can say that because I've seen it and done it and delivered it. Okay? So there's a couple of different things in this little graphics. But kind of a slogan that I've stole from one of my previous employers is you pick battles that are big enough to matter and small enough to win. Kind of a war cry or a war theory, but it really is. I develop these strategies that are huge, very all-encompassing, and that are breaking down into things that are winnable, like that. Okay. So some additional things about success metrics is, having obstacles, opportunities, benefits, meaningful objectives, right? You guys seen this? Right? The glass is full, half empty. I'm the opportunist. I don't see half full, half empty. I'm done. I'm moving on, right? Okay? And so traditional metrics for project management, right? Cost, scope, time, business outcomes. That's my favorite, right? That's my favorite metric because it speaks to tangible business benefits. But if I can talk in these different terms to the players that are going to be my buying into what I'm trying to do, I can influence them to come on board. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up, right? These are their metrics. Okay, your metric is, I need to get this red line done pretty quick because they're hounding me. If you can improve their metrics of quality, cost, time, scope, right, and you can show that you're delivering against one of those things, it's called money, right? Saving something. Okay, so the kind of the deeper dive of setting a vision is part of what we call a visual strategy workshop. Okay, it's just a part of different facilitation methods to encourage alignment and clarity. Okay, I don't want to read through all of this, but it's kind of a visually rich environment of facilitation to where everybody is actively involved in doing something. Okay. How many of you guys have worked for an organization that does that? It's called cascading goals. How many have done that? Right? How many have had to cascade goals as a manager? Right? I get strategies at the top of my organization, goes to middle management, or from senior management to middle management to the people that actually have to do stuff. Sometimes it's technology people, right? And so I spend time at the enterprise, business level, department goals, cascade down, cascade up. And 6 to 9 months later, we've actually got something that's synthesized, right? Has anybody seen that quicker than 6 to 9 months? So we got 3 months to execute. That's the way I look at it, right? If I got to cascade my goals, top management says we're going to do this, middle management says we got to do this, and it's cascading. We're usually waiting on it, right? They say we want it by June. And September comes along, and we're finally delivering our goals back to they cascade them up. No, is there alignment there? But yet we've been doing this. We've been beating that hammer up and down. So selfishly, Autodesk developed this visual framework that takes us through that same 6-month process in a matter of 2 days. The reason we did it, and we gave it away to our most expensive and highest paying customers, is because if we can get them to know what they need to do and get them to have success, they will spend more money on buying software. The days of selling a box are over. Okay? Have you seen that? Autodesk Console subscription. You guys may or may not like it. I don't care. That's not my part to sell any of that. But the reality is, you'll open up your pocketbooks if you're having success. If you're not, you won't. Okay? So if I can prove to you and have success, It's called adoption. Okay, most of my accounts, my metric for is driving adoption with my clients. If we had success, they would have adoption. Does that make sense? Okay, is that a pretty good metric to have? We started out with this many people using this. We ended up with this many people using that. That was my metric. And so I had to figure out, how do I prove to you we're having success? Right? And it really worked out. And so there's the 6 steps, and that's why I'm going to do 6 weeks, essentially. And we run through the lenses of each of those. Okay, and I'm going to go through a few of them today. And a pretty cool thing. Usually I've got like 12 to 18 people in a room, about this size. We clear our walls out. We've either got whiteboards or boards we can put stickies up on, and we're drawing and we're sketching, we're brainstorming, we're doing a bunch of these facilitation techniques to walk you through an effective way of looking at things strategically. How many of you guys think that, you know, us technology people can't think strategically? CAD guys. There's a lot of people that believe a CAD guy doesn't know strategy. And there's a lot of people that are at the bottom of the company going, I don't know what you guys are thinking over here at the top. You guys are telling us to do this, but if we did this, this, and this, we could save the company money, right? You guys do this all the time. It's you know, there's so much innovation throughout the middle, the top, the bottom. Get us together. Okay, so this is what this does. And the purpose of the workshop is really to help us define what our vision, strategies, goals, and have success. Okay, it's like we call it a team sport, right? We all figure it out. Job titles are left at the door. The sponsor is all about. I'll work a lot of times beforehand on the sponsor, figuring out who we're working with, the characters, who's going to be our resistors, right? Things like that. Okay. So and I'll plan out a sketch. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to get here. We're going to navigate through it. And we're going to go through the boards just like that. However I plan it, based on what we're trying to solve. Okay. This is a sample agenda. I'm not going to go too far over it, but that's kind of the breakdown of a two-day workshop. And many times, think about this. Companies, I'm working with 10, 12 to 18 people. Okay, you know how many salaries are in that room? Okay, got to drive results. So the first part, usually I end up breaking it down into 2 different phases. So I have 1 day workshop, another day workshop, depending on availability and getting people. If I can get 2 people 2 days in a room with a company, most effective, because we go through that 6 to 9 months of time, and we first off define where we want to be, and then we define how we get there. Okay. So obviously you guys have probably seen this mission, vision statements, right? Statement of the overall purpose of the organization. You guys have it in your quarterly reports with the stockholders. Here's what our mission is. Okay, parse it down to like what our mission is and what our vision is for a specific business unit or a business area. We're trying to grow our business in this way. And so there's some lenses on how we can do that. So the fundamental piece is meeting management. Okay, I walk into a group. I'll spend an hour going over what's called ORs. Okay, objectives, agenda, rules. Okay, just so people know how the meeting is going to run. You're going to have an agenda. Usually I mark things off as I go on the agenda to show progress throughout. There's a mental model we're creating psychologically, making sure that, hey, we did this, we did this, we did this. Do we need to go back? There's some meeting management stuff we're going to have. Have a list of ground rules. This is kind of my list, and then usually we add to it, right? Silence implies consent. Titles left at the door. No idea is dumb. I know this is hard for some technology people, but if you want to get somebody to come on your side, they want to be heard. That's it. As a group, we'll come up with what the main idea is at the end of the day, but everybody's ideas are heard. Okay? Elmo. How many thought about Elmo? You guys know who Elmo is? my kid's favorite friend, right? This isn't Elmo, but Elmo is enough, let's move on. So if we're beating up a topic that's not going anywhere, I'll write it down. Elmo, we're gonna leave it at the door, we're gonna talk about it something else. It's not progressing the meeting, we're gonna call it. I will call it usually, or the person that started it will usually retract it. Okay, I'll look at it and say, hey, can we can I call Elmo on this? And I'll get them to move on, okay? And then cell phones just done. Unlike today, right? Okay, just kidding. And then consensus, we have to define what consensus is. That's my definition. If you guys want to change it, we can change it, right? I can live with it and support it. May not be my idea, but I can live with it and I can support it, right? Okay, so setting the context, 2 activities we do here is the business driver's lens. I find this one very, very interesting because business leaders at the top are thinking about these things, right? What is society doing? What is the environment, the economy? What are government policies that are coming down, right? If you're an architecture firm, you're thinking about how climate change legislation is going to affect what you're going to have to deliver. It may create some new business opportunities for you, right? Your technology people know that, right? So those things I will go through beforehand and discuss which areas up here in the top are we going to do, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have a conversation, maybe silent brainstorm, come up with ideas about what is increasing, what is decreasing, and what is the impact of that. Okay, not just this is what we're hearing in the industry. We call this a STEEP. Thanks. Society, technology, environment, economy, and policy. Okay, and it's just walking people through these different lenses. And usually we'll break up into a group. It's a quick brainstorm. You need to be crazy how much information you can come out in 30 minutes. Just breaking people up into groups, getting some ideas going. Okay, just ideation. Another facilitation method is what they call a SWOT matrix. How many of you guys have heard of SWOT? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Kind of the same thing, right? Instead of weaknesses, we call them problems. Things that we're trying to solve, right? You know, problems lead to opportunities, threats lead to problems, right? All this is doing is getting our brains primed to really compete in the marketplace, okay? I've worked with technology people, they can understand it, promise. Your business leaders, they already do this. And if they're not, they need to, right? But they're not going to stay in business too long. If you're going to grow, you're going to do these things, okay? And then a SWOT, we'll build a SWOT. This is a sample one that I worked with one of my clients on. Those are the stickies. We actually come back with a report that's really detailed about that, okay? And that we will, every time, you know, every year we'll come back and we'll revisit this. And there's not much that changes in a year's time, but there are a lot of things that change. If we're doing what we want to do, those weaknesses become strengths. Some of those opportunities, we're building on them, right? So we do a little calibration a year from now. Okay? So another thing that we do is kind of a brainstorming activity. This is just to generate ideas of what things that we could be doing. You may come in with, hey, this is what I want to do as a BIM manager or a CAD manager. And you get a whole wealth of ideas from all the different types of people that are going to be in that room. Okay? So what goals would you like to accomplish? What is a big problem that needs to be solved? What aspects of your business would you likely be doing differently? How would you differentiate yourself from your competitors? Question not asked enough. Okay? What makes you different than your competitors? Okay? Ask Keith. Him and I did a strategy session, 2.5 months ago?
About that?
Is that helping?
Yes.
It's going to drive results. Why? Because we thought through how do we differentiate. Okay? This one's called the 5 bold steps. We'll go a little bit detailed of it, but this, I actually have I print up these maps that go on the wall and we build it out as we go. Essentially, it looks like that. That's an architecture firm at the end of it. Can you tell? We want to be profitable by 20%, right? They have all these vision ideas, but no vision. statement. Abstract, right? You get an engineer in a room, he's probably gonna have a statement articulate, right? Maybe not as many vision things, but you know what I mean? Everybody's got their own little dynamic, right? So, navigating through the lenses, and this is kind of my breakdown of it, but, you know, I can't really see that. Agree on the vision elements. So, a lot of times it's just a brainstorm. We're throwing stuff up there, see what sticks, okay? I will brainstorm usually beforehand with them, and then we'll put it up here on the board, the stuff that comes out. Sometimes I'll prioritize or I'll dot it with some voting, okay? And then we'll take that, go in from this to develop that vision statement, right? And then usually the vision statement will have elements of each of those vision elements. Does that make sense? We'll go into some brainstorming, okay? A lot of times brainstorming, I have some facilitation techniques about just silent. Like we'll go in and we'll silently put things on the board, and then we'll have some discussion, and then we'll silently sort them, see what things aggregate together, and then we'll start giving them titles, see what comes out of that, okay? And then, and then we'll prioritize. Sometimes we'll come out with 50 ideas, sometimes we'll come out with 15 ideas. I need 5, right? 5 things that we can do that are bold, okay, get her done, right? Things that others aren't doing, okay? And then from there, I'll look at through a different lens and say, okay, what are the things that are supporting this? Who could support this? You know, can my partners, if I'm an architecture firm, will my MEP contractors support me, right? Will my structural support this, right? We change who's going to be for it and who's going to be against it. What are the challenges we're going to have? Because anytime we develop a strategy or a tactic, we need to know what actions are we going to have to do to overcome that challenge, right? Or what are the things that I can do? This is my right-hand guy that I can pull up and say, a right-hand man, a right-hand woman, right? I need to pull her in and say, you know what, we need to talk to your group and get them bought into this, okay? Those are my challenges, right? And then the values. This one sometimes we don't get to, I'll be honest. But under the underlying values, like, you know, a value, risk-taking. Who'd have thought that was a value, right? Risk-averse culture. If that's a value you have in your organization, put it down, right? Fair leadership, empowerment, role modeling. Okay, these are some examples. Obviously not thorough. What happens when we get too many ideas? Okay, architects, abstract, engineers, technical. Okay, there are going to be a lot of great ideas. Okay, but a lot of times you can find some synergy between them. I have some ideas. I have one that I did with a client recently that we had 48 ideas, and all of them were valuable, right? But what we did is we have, and you guys can't see that really well, but I have a small dollar sign here and a bunch of dollar signs out there. And I just ask them, okay, least amount of time, most amount of time, or effort. What things can you do? If this initiative, we did this, which would be the least amount of time and with the least amount of effort, right? And some things, you know, this just tells you kind of where, gives you a pulse on where those things are. And then I'll give people money. Get these little voting dots, and I say, this is $20,000 or $100,000. You get to invest, everybody in the group gets the same amount of money. So even the CEO in the company gets the same amount of money as the drafter or the modeler. And I say, you get to vote on your initiatives. And what we do is we come in there and we put that, we put our money to work. We may have gone in and said, you know, these are the things, this is the quickest, this is my good area, this is my favorite area right here. Least amount of time, least amount of money, these are quick wins, right? Maybe there's something that's really, really valuable in there that I need, right? So another thing for prioritization is kind of putting those groupings, you know, in the level of effort value. It's very similar to the one I just showed you. So another thing that we can, if we're not really getting things moving forward, we have what's called a context map. And essentially it's going in and it's doing similar things. We're gonna identify trends, political factors. This is more of a detailed thing that we're gonna look at. And again, here's this is a design build firm. Which you may recognize there. Okay. So, at the end of the day, one of the things that I come up with after going through these workshops is a report. Okay? And this is the management of, so I planned, now I'm gonna talk about executing, is I'm gonna start to define what the outcomes that we're going to do. What are the initiatives, what are the metrics, and then the different steps that we're going to do. Okay? This is an example of one of my clients. In that facilitated session, we went through after prioritizing and we created a tactical plan. This is where we get into very operational things, saying, okay, month by month, these are the things that we're gonna do, right? You can see a lot that, you know, there's 7 or 8 initiatives. We said we were gonna only do 6. But of course, they always threw 2 more. And I knew that was going to happen. We were going to do 8, but I told them we were going to do 6. Otherwise, we do 10, right? And what happens with these big rocks is you're going to have some focus, and if you give them too many, you won't get anything done. These are the things I'm going to, as a technology manager, going to manage and make sure that we're getting done, right? And then, usually for me, I have a matrix of like all the stakeholders that I'm working with, because anything worthwhile, you're going to have a lot of stakeholders, a lot of people that you're working with. I may have notes on every single stakeholder, like how am I influencing this guy? How am I influencing that guy? Right? Who is he, she? Where is their power in the organization? Do I need to influence them more? Are they bought in? Are they not? And that's important, right? And then I usually this gets broken down into multiple initiatives that I will manage. And what will that look like is each initiative has success criteria, obstacles, and then there's its own timeline. And so that big timeline that I showed you here, that's usually just during my facilitated session. It's coming up with the high, good work breakdown structure, high level. We'll break it down into this one very, very quickly, and we'll know exactly who needs to do what and when. So this kind of looks like a Gantt chart. It is. You can manage it in project. I just do it simply here in PowerPoint, so I can share it. Easy to read. Start getting into Microsoft Project, and you start or another project management software. People kind of, they may not, not everybody can read those. Does that make sense? Like this, pretty much anybody can read. Okay. Some of the one other technique I do is it's called business process management. It's part of the lean technique. How many of you guys have heard of lean? Six Sigma. It's like the new buzz, the late buzz. I mean, it's been around for a while. But this is an example of a document management workflow that I worked through with a client. We just looked at technology in the swim lanes. We put each technology in a swim lane, and you can see they have multiple technologies for document management, right? And I think it was like they had, new Forma, ProjectWise. I mean, it didn't matter what that main fundamental element was. They were managing things through multiple parts. If I had an issue for issue management, took it out to this. It was a nightmare. We modified the process as kind of an interim, and then we modified it further. And this is something quick you can go through, just within a small organization. Go through and say, well, what is our process? And I recommend doing it for everything, because I guarantee in your BIM, your move to BIM, you kept some legacy processes that are not adding value to your business. You can eliminate them. We went in there to move to a new tool, And we found 5 different processes that we were able to eliminate in hours, 3 hours per cycle of a project we were able to cut on this project. Again, change vision, have some milestones. You need to be able to report back on what successes you're doing. Big strategy, more milestones. That make sense? Okay, so I want to be able to say, hey, we've done this when this is the tangible benefit we did. It's just a baton pass from the next one initiative to the next. This is a sampling, and I put this here because I think it's illustrative of reporting success. I've seen companies have success in a technology initiative and not recognize it, and people are like, well, that was a waste of money. Why aren't we doing it on the next project, right? Okay, I call it a lessons learned exercise, and every project manager should do this to a degree. Celebrate success. Did you have success in what you were trying to do? Okay, in this case, my client, okay, improve model efficiency. These were the areas that we targeted. Looks like a bullet point needs to come down. Reduce modeling effort by 276 hours. We did it. We thought we were going to do it. We calculated it, and we metered it, went back and said, yeah, that's what we saved. Okay, now granted, we had training and all these other things that we had to do it, that offset. But in this case, we had $132,000 in this one project in tangible business benefit from improving modeling efficiency, improving quality, and reduce impact of design changes. Going to a true model-based workflow. Not a CAD to BIM, we're delivering Revit, but we're still doing it the way we did it in CAD, right? There was actually $400,000 of estimated savings. We didn't get through all of those initiatives. So that was my backlog of things to work on, right? We're never going to be done, right? Okay, so after we kind of set that vision, we're going to communicate. And again, this was supposed to be fun. It was you guys watched Lord of the Rings? Right, the call from Gondor. It was to light up and light up and light up. It's a lot better effect than AU. Yes, I do love Lord of the Rings references. And then empower for action, right? Going in and establishing a shared purpose. Again, short-term initiative. This is all part of your charter, is doing these things. Providing training and support. So there's your training, there's your support. But it's a very, very minuscule part of all the things that we need to do. I need to improve skills over here. I need to get knowledge over here. Cross-functional knowledge. Maybe I have an engineer working with a modeler. Maybe my modelers become designers. Okay, I've seen that happen in a lot of organizations, right? The move from drafter to designer is a huge cost savings. Okay? And engineers aren't able to do everything. Okay? And then this, by empowering action, you're providing transparency. And then, again, like this one. So here's my pilot team, and there's my enterprise for the big war. Again, picking battles that are big enough to matter, small enough to win. And then, how many of you guys have seen this, the Kubler-Ross thing? It's a standard project management methodology. The idea is if you, it's one of my Autodesk consulting slides, talks about companies typically can implement technology on their own, right, without a consultant. And having that expertise, you can learn that expertise on the fly. But usually it takes the third or fourth cycle to start reaping a benefit. And this is where companies, I hate to say it, have gone wrong. Okay? I did this in several companies. That's why I became the BIM guy, right? Is because they put me and they paid me to learn everything about Revit and Navisworks and whatever it was, instead of bringing somebody in as an expert. Okay? And the big thing is you know, reducing negative consequences by bringing in somebody. I have found that I've been able to go in and reduce those negative consequences in usually the first project, if not the first, you know, in the middle, and then accelerate those changes, right? Because I come in and I put a change management framework around all of this, right? And I hold people accountable, and that's what you have to do, okay? And then obviously generating short-term wins, and this, again, I don't wanna, this is, you know, all provided in, but this kinda, maybe it'll drive the message home, but like, I kind of, you know, look at this as, again, through the lens of the Lord of the Rings, is you've got your power sponsor over there, you've got some threats and barriers over here, you've got consultants, I think I like my consultants. Your guiding coalition, you know, your fellowship there, and you know, your proof of concept team, these were the guys that got us through the thing. You know, and then we have our lessons learned. You know, we meet afterwards and say, hey look, you know, what did we learn? How do we improve? How do we grow? And I know it's kind of corny, but hopefully it drove the point home, is you got all different casts of characters, bunch of things you're trying to do. You're gonna do those first 6 things, and then we're gonna, once you do that, just keep building on it, right? Build on the gains, acknowledge hard work, report success, okay? And change the culture in your organization. So now you are the hero in the organization, because you know what? Kick butt, you took names, you actually brought, you know, in many cases when I've done this, I brought new revenue to the business by going after new business lines, things that we didn't know we could do, new services, okay? How many of you guys heard of BIM coordination? How many of you got BIM coordinators? Why are you not selling that service? We made more money on fee and BIM coordination with the Corps of Engineers than our whole fee that we did on the project. You know why? Because we sold the client that it was valuable. Okay, that was somebody that was outside our circle, we still did it. Okay? And the project manager had no problem paying for it at the Corps, because we were able to demonstrate success. And of course, we were doing multiple of those projects. He looked at the you know, how much that would be over time, definitely bought into it. And this is kind of my navigation, again, around going in and navigating through different levels of the organization, right? Again, this could be one initiative, or, you know, just being able to do modeling in Revit. Or this could be energy modeling in one business unit, right? Okay. How many of you guys have seen this? Hope so, right? This is the Corps', you know, project execution plan. These are the main things, right? Design and authoring, progress reviews, and interference management. Sometimes we get this one, that's that 3D coordination. And those are the BIM uses that are pretty much almost standard in the industry. And you'd be surprised, as I've done assessments, how much of the organizations can do that. You know what I mean? Maybe they have one team that can do it, but can they do all of those things? And there's all these other BIM uses that you see that the clients are starting to ask for. And those are just the BIM uses. These are standard things: estimating, cost, you know, phase planning, construction operations, you know, COBE. That's not even innovation. These are just things that you can do today. Okay? Most of the stuff I'm doing is beyond this. Yeah, I've got a lot of use cases that we're just trying to level set with what the requirements are. Okay? How many of you guys heard of LODs? There was, I think, a LOD thing was that last month? Or?
Yeah, it was last month.
They've even, since, I think Sean presented, they just had a thing at BIM Forum. Name Van just kind of published it out. They got new updates. So, I mean, we get one thing and we think we're good, and next thing you know, we got a new thing for LODs, right? The M3 is Minimal Model Matrix. That's the Corps of Engineers version of it. Very similar.
I actually like the M3 better than the LOD.
Yeah, I think the M3s work really, really well. They've got both Omni-class uniformat. Okay, it's very similar. And then another thing that I think is a nugget is project process. You should have a defined project process for everything. Corps of Engineers isn't requiring it right now, but it's part of your communication plan. How do you hand off things? Do you have a standard protocol? How many of you guys are ISO certified? Okay, I used my client before is out of Canada. Everything's, if you do government work, you have to be ISO certified, which means you have to go in and map your processes, which is should do anyways, right? Every one of your processes should be mapped, because that's where we find out duplication of effort, right? That's where we find out that when I pass it to structural, they throw away all the crap I give them. And that's true, that's true. I mean, Heath is laughing there. It's true. We throw a lot of stuff away because we don't see it's valuable. Because we didn't communicate what we needed, what the inputs and outputs needed to be. Okay? And this is a snippet from my BIM forum presentation. But essentially it's taking out old legacy processes and putting in BIM-based DNA. Okay? So I'm not going to go into that. I'm just going to leave that with you guys. But you know, everything's a chess game, and we should be managing that pretty well. But this is kind of, I went to project management school, learned everything about project management methodology, project management office, which is even more beyond project management's. How do you improve systemically your whole organization? And I was like, holy crap, this is great. However, how do I size this down for a design technologist? You know, BIM managers. Guys that haven't gone 4.5 years to project management school. Okay? They can't go to grad school, but want to manage this a little bit better. So I developed an initiative planning kind of methodology. I've got a template that goes behind that. And if you guys want to work with me, I can kind of navigate you through some of that. But essentially, it's that change management stuff. It's all in one document, sized down to be very, very lean, and it drives results. Okay, any question? I probably need a 2.0 update to this. I've learned a few things since then. One last thing, how many of you guys have worked in a place with a community of practice? How many have even heard of a community of practice? Larry, you did? Yeah. You want to share an idea what community of practice meant for you?
Well, when we were at Kiewit, we would get together a lot of times to kind of share ideas, to try to improve the processes and things like that. Kiewit wasn't very successful with that, but they tried. So.
Yeah. Well, I learned about community of practices at Black & Beach, one of the engineering firms in town. Some people called it just, glorified SharePoint, but it was beyond SharePoint. Okay, the idea of a community of practice is that you have a place where, documents are stored, you manage your initiatives, you have standards. It's kind of a blog storefront, this is what we're working on right now, all that the headlines area, links to things that are important, collaborative areas where teams can work together, other resources that are high fidelity, you want to post things in there to communicate effectively to people. If you send out emails to people and this is what we're doing and it's got a bunch of attachments, you're going to have problems. But if you have a way to link to a common message, a common thread that updates as you make updates, and you continually help people go back to the source, it's a living web page.
Kiewit
Living communications plan.
They kind of had an internal wiki set up where they could actually go in and publish documents and everybody could kind of contribute and share and discuss.
And it really isn't that hard to do. This is kind of my template. The BIM team, we had the restricted areas, but we would automate workflows. So if something got posted in there and needed to be reviewed, content management, stuff like that. Doesn't have to be SharePoint, it can be something else. But we use SharePoint to kind of manage it. It was very, very effective. And they had other communities that we would point to. So, I had to manage 5 different disciplines. you know, the standard, you know, architecture, mechanical, electrical, structure, and then also had my estimating group and construction procurement. So I had 5 different communities of practice. I started out trying to be one page to rule them all, that didn't work, right? And then I had different communities for different groups. And essentially it's organic. And I did so well that they don't need me back there anymore. And that's, you know, you could be a product of your own failure or your own success. Okay? So this is kind of my plea. Was this valuable?
Yes.
You know? Was it too much? There's a lot more deep dive into actually developing these skills that can be done. I'm still in the process of developing the course, but I'm going to do a 6-week course, 4 hours each day, for you know. And what we'll do is essentially develop skill sets that are these soft skills. We'll go through and run through some of those workshops. If you have a company, if you want to have your company do that, I can kind of come in and help you, help mentor you to become the facilitator in some ways. It's kind of like going through the 6-week course, except we're focusing actually on delivering something for your company. Maybe easier to, you know, have everybody come out to the class, but then you've got other people in there. So would that be valuable to anybody here? Potentially. Okay. My information, Keith, and I don't have many cards with me right now, but of course, if you guys want to ask any questions, or anybody online that's gonna see this, you know, give me a holler, and I can, you know, lead you in the right direction, or maybe mentor you in some way. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
Good deal.
Thanks, you guys.